Once upon a time, two men decided if they were making the cut. And then they made the cut. And now JT and Aaron are talking everything from wrestling to pop culture and beyond. Because it's no holds barred.
Will you back down, turn and run? Or stand up with the best? When your back's to the wall, what will your answer be? Will you run for the door? Will you run out on me like it's hard?
It's an old barn. There it is. We're here.
Hey!
We're back. It's been a minute.
Yes, I know. I haven't heard that song in a while.
You don't listen to it every day, just to hear it.
Only when I jerk off.
Mind your better times.
Yeah, that's what it just triggers me right away. I think of Brell, I think of Zeus, I think of Randy in the hospital bed, and I'm like, whoa, I can't control it.
Dookie. I was gonna try and do like Hootie singing it, but I can't do a good Hootie. I don't have a Hootie in me.
You know, I'm not a good Hootie, but I think I've got a good Creed.
Yeah, from The Office.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. When you are with me, I'm free. They're making a comeback. Why is Creed making a comeback?
I mean, everything now is like, it's always that 20-year window. So Creed's a little earlier than that, but usually it's that 20 to 25-year nostalgia kicks in. But like all of those right now are the big, like the cruises and the concerts, it's like all kind of like the boy band era kind of came back around, like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and now it's Creed, Nickelback. Like they're kind of. I think Creed was like. I think just like grunge was kind of shit on by the diehard like metal fans.
Yeah,
I think like the butt rock was like shit on by the grunge fans, and then so everyone had like you had to hate it. But now everyone kind of came around. It's like, it was actually not that bad. It was kind of fun.
Okay. So I knew a dude. He was a musician in the 80s and with decent success, a bit older than me. And he told me that when Kurt Cobain died, his band had a party.
Jesus.
Because they viewed that Nirvana destroyed their scene.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this a parenting success for you? My two youngest children are really into Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. All right. They like the nookie.
And they do this, like whenever I play Roland. So I'm good.
We just covered that recently on Extreme 3-Way Dance, our ECW podcast. Every other Thursday, Steve Carino invades a Limp Bizkit concert and Fred Durst kicks his ass. So sure, check that out.
Just trying anything.
We play some Limp Bizkit for you on there as well, so check it out.
I know you'll be living this shit right here.
They are the favorite band of the World Wrestling Federation. So.
Yep. I can't imagine Vince listening to them.
No.
Oh, what is this?
And together, what?
But then again, he did do it all for the nookie. If anybody gave up,
that's true. Everything.
Yeah.
Not only did he do it all, he has it all. So this cruise we went on, I haven't shared the video yet. I'll share it at some point when I'm ready. There was a karaoke night, and I was hammered. And some guy gets up, and do you know the song Baker Street, like the yacht rock by Jerry Rafferty? I'll load it up here. Once you hear it, you're gonna know it because it's a pretty infamous like sax solo. And so this guy must have waited like fucking 2 hours. This older guy is probably in the 60s, probably waited 2 hours. It's a big night. I'm gonna sing Baker Street tonight in front of the whole thing. And there's like an infamous in the middle. There's like a 45-second sax solo. And in all my wisdom and being, 15 sheets to the wind, I'm like, I'm gonna go and do the sax solo for this guy, and he's gonna fucking love it. So I was like kind of waiting to the side where he couldn't see me. And then that sax solo hits, and I come out. I had grabbed this like huge pillow, like long round pillow, and I'm just like going around him with it, doing the sax, and everyone's like losing it. And at first, he didn't see me, so he thinks they're cheering for him at first because I'm behind him. And then I come around, and he's just like staring at me. I don't think he was happy. He didn't seem too happy. Definitely, but I'm like, it's karaoke, so what are you gonna do for 40 seconds? Well, the sax, you're just gonna stand there anyway, awkwardly. At least I gave the fans a show.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll let it play underneath for a minute. We got to get to the sax part, but I don't want to get
Yeah.
disqualified on YouTube. So we can't play it for too long, only for a second. I'll let it get to the sax and then I'll fire it
It
up.
certainly doesn't sound familiar.
No, you'll hear in a second. Hang on. It's a pretty famous like yacht rock's genre now, but like soft rock song of like of the 70s. You know, it's pretty famous. Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Amazing sax solo.
Don't steal my thunder.
Ah, you fucking prick. Anyway, that all said, we're good to be back, right? We've been trying to look for a little window to find here to record. You can, if you miss me and Aaron, if you haven't checked it out yet, we're with Jenny Smith on No So Takeover every other Thursday, going through the history of NXT takeovers. I believe we're around Dallas-ish right now in there.
Yep.
Almost a third through, which is crazy.
It's crazy. It's amazing how fast it goes. Like we've done like 4 years. Like
I know everything changes so quick when you're only doing like quarterly shows or whatever they were doing at the time. It's like you jump through them so quickly. But anyway, that's a lot of fun. But we do miss doing No Holds Barred. And we wanted to do this because we have a larger project going on at North South Connection called No So 95, where we're paying tribute to the year 1995, both wrestling, pop culture, music. We'll be having stuff all throughout 2025 tied toward that. I recently did a Behind the Connection with my buddy Kevin E. We talked kind of backyard and independent wrestling in the mid 90s, and that was a lot of fun.
In 1995?
Yeah, fun stuff. And then tonight we're going to touch on some 1995 as well, because you and I, Aaron, are going to rebook WrestleMania 11.
Yes. Already the best WrestleMania of all time. Let's see if we can make it better.
Can we improve it? I don't even know where the improvements could come from. We're going to try.
No, me neither.
April 2nd, 95 is when it aired. And this is always like a tough one for me because I was obviously just a diehard fan through the entire early 90s. And I knew it wasn't as good in 95, but I didn't care. Like I was so into it still, both WCW and WWF. So like this is like a big mania for you. Like I still went going to my cousins, like it was a big annual thing. And so for a long time, like I still kind of like liked it. And I think historically you'd rank it toward the bottom of manias, but like if you're kind of looking at pay-per-views,
it's not a bad show.
Yeah, like, it's an easy
fine.
watch. The one thing you can say about it is like it's under 3 hours, it breezes along, there's no bullshit. Like,
well, there's some, but
I'd rather watch that. But I'd rather watch that than some later. Like we've had this argument millions of times when we've done our WrestleMania rankings, right? What would you rather? What would you rather watch, right? Like that bloated WrestleMania 34 that's, 7 hours or
32 or 39,
32,
35. Yeah.
Right. Or a nice tidy 240 with salt and pepper, So,
yeah. And Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy
at their peak.
Like, yes. Not now, Pam Anderson.
No, before the vaccines for Jenny McCarthy.
Yes.
Before they took her down.
Is that what happened to her? Did she take vaccines?
I think so, right? That's why she hates them. They
Okay.
ruined her career. They got singled out, canceled, I think.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that Jim Carrey was like one of the beating hearts of that, and then just stopped when she stopped blowing him or whatever.
Yeah. He's an interesting dude, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Great Riddler. He's the second best Riddler behind Steve Riddle.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
All right. So we built ourselves some parameters, but not really. So like the card is amorphous. We can have as many matches as we want.
Or as few.
We can one match. We can
one match.
We can keep what we want. We can change what we want. But we wanted to build a world to which to work in, right? So we didn't want to just say like you had to rebook it based on that day. We wanted to be able to craft some of the storylines, but we also needed a start point because you can't just like change everything. So we're starting our world at Survivor Series 94 the day after that. So when that show ends, that's who's available to us. Those are the characters available to us. Those are the champions now we can change the champions, but so Bob Backlund is our world champion, just beating Bret Hart. We have no tag team champions because Shawn Michaels threw the belts in the garbage, and Razor Ramon is our IC champ. Yes. And I guess Alundra Blaze is our women's champion. Because I think she won it back from Bull Nakano. I think right before or right after. I don't know. One of them are champ. We'd have to look, but one of them, maybe Bull wins it. Bull won it right before Survivor Series in the Egg Dome because Todd interviews her at Survivor Series, and he's trying to make her laugh, and she's trying not to break. And it's her as champion. So I think Alundra wins it back after WrestleMania, actually, the night after. So
Okay.
So Bull Nakano is our women's champion if we want to leverage that.
Okay. Do you want to just put that on the card?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else we would do. Like,
no, because I was thinking about Alundra Blaze and including her or not, but then I was like, oh, is it going to be Bertha Faye? Are they going to drag out Leilani Kai? Is she always on contract? Kind of thing.
Well, so, Bertha she debuts the night after Mania.
Yeah.
With Alundra wins the belt back. Maybe it's not the night after. It's in those weeks after. Alundra wins the belt.
Sure.
Bertha debuts and attacks her after she wins the belt back from Bull.
Nakano. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a good match on the card. That
it was good at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and like this is a different dynamic with Nakano as the champion.
Mm-hmm.
You could go one of two ways. You could have her disappoint the audience, or have Alundra like triumphantly win it back. So I think it's kind of win-win to throw that on the card.
Yeah, and we kind of had some star power historically by putting Bull Nakano on this card. It's like,
yeah,
she never was on a WrestleMania, so that, I think it's a cool addition historically. Given she's one of the greatest ever. So I think it's a cool little nugget to put in there. It's like 10 years.
Do you think it should be? I don't think it needs to be a gimmick match. Like just
no,
straight.
Bull didn't have a manager, right? Because Harvey's with Bertha, so you can't
yet.
even do like a cage or anything.
Yeah.
Well, Bertha hadn't debuted, so like it's like you'd have a manager in a shark cage or something like that. No, I think just a match is fine. I mean, I don't know what else you would do. Yeah, I think it's fine, and I don't think they get a ton of time. You give them like 8 or 9 minutes, and
no, to sprint. It's a sprint.
Yeah. And I think that works well.
Yeah. Now, I think, do we want to like deal with some big things right away? Because that's what's going to kind of
I think we can start top down.
So I think we have one of two choices with the world title. I think we either keep it on Backlund, have Diesel win the Rumble, and then Diesel wins and is crowned at WrestleMania, or Diesel wins it like he normally does. And I think no matter what, and you tell me what you think about this, we're not doing Sean. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good with that. We got to give him something big. And I think I know where you're going with it, because I think we've kind of riffed on this before. Because he's the most over guy in the company. So I would say if we do it, Sean's going to win. I think that's the miss. I think him losing is a bigger miss than having the match.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because he's so over. But then that kills the boyhood dream moment with Brett and all that, which I don't know if you want to mess with that. So I'm fine keeping them apart. I would have, if Diesel's going to be our champion going in, I would have him win it at the Rumble from Backlund and keep Diesel and Brett apart at the Rumble, because that match ends up being a debacle. And I think Backlund had the juice to at least make it to the Rumble. Is like a pretty.
You don't think Backlund has the juice to go to Mania? It's a long time, but there's not that many shows, right? So
yeah, I just don't know what the feud is with them. It's like, it didn't even really feud. It was just like Diesel kicked the shit out of him. I guess it's just him coming for him after winning the Rumble. Because then who does Backlund even fight at the Rumble? He's not going to do Brett again. He's not going to beat him again. Unless he's not at, maybe he doesn't defend, maybe he just watches. I don't know.
No, he could fight Brett again, and Brett could win by count out. Like, you know what I mean? It could be one of those kind of things. But then you set Backlund up as kind of a lame duck for Mania, which kind of sucks. You need to beat.
I think that's my problem. Going into Mania, you have no belief that Backlund's going to. I mean, it's obvious that Diesel is going to beat him at Mania. So I think you have Diesel kill him at the Rumble, and then whoever we want to win the Rumble wins the Rumble. Now, all right, let's just throw it out there. So we're going to keep LT. Like, there's no doubt about that. We have him. We may as well use him.
Yeah.
Are you thinking him and Sean?
I think that, to me, that's so, like, if I'm going to take Bam Bam out of that match, I think Sean probably gives us probably the best possible match with LT.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think anything that happens in there could hurt Sean. I think losing to LT probably hurts him less than losing to Diesel.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at the roster and the card, like, if you're not doing Bigelow, you're not doing Sean, you're not going to do a face, so you're not going to do Brett or Diesel. Like, the only other guy that jumps out that could have been fun is Owen.
No, but I think we're going to use Owen somewhere else.
No, much better. So,
Yeah.
but I think I'm just saying of all the guys, like I think he's maybe the only guy I could think of that could like deliver the match and like have some, heat in there and carry it a little bit. Like I don't think they had any other heels that could step up to it. So all right, let's put LT Shawn. I don't have any qualms with that. I think it's a great and it gives Shawn the main event.
Yeah.
And we're already said he's the most over guy in the company. So let him pinball around for LT.
Yeah.
And then you can still do the Sid stuff. Like he can still bring him in as a bodyguard because he can say LT's got the All Pro team. Because you're taking the $1 million corporation out of it, right? By doing this.
Unless you want to have Sid wrestle, which is another possibility.
Well, I like Sid at Mania the way they go about it.
Me
Because
too.
it sets him up to snap. So like we're taking the corporation out. So if you still want to do LT's All Pro, Shawn can say, I'm going to bring in an enforcer to offset them.
Sid.
And that's this fucking maniac can take on all your football players. I don't care.
With a pocket knife. Yeah.
Right. And then that still sets up for Sid to turn on Shawn the next night because Shawn can say, where the hell were you? I got swarmed over by these football players. It's your fault. Yeah. Sid attacks him. And then you're still, Shawn still can turn face off of that and head toward.
Yeah. And you can protect Shawn too, in that, like, you can have the All Pro guys kind of cheating for Lawrence Taylor, but because they're football players, it's not going to come off heelish, right? It's going to come off like, oh, look, Steve McMichael's having fun out there.
Well, and you can even like, I know we're not big corporation fans, but if we wanted to, you could even, if Shawn needed more guys, you could say, he paid DiBiase for support with Sid. And that could springboard Sid to join in the corporation, which he does anyway, too. So you could say it's Shawn, Sid, and then a couple mercenaries they bought from DiBiase or whatever. If you want to have even sides and it's not just, and then Sid can still screw up the same way he does against Diesel, right? He could cut the turnbuckle, whatever it is, and Shawn hits the turnbuckle and LT. So you kind of book that the same. All right, so I think that's good. So I got two guys in mind for Diesel. Oh, I want your take. One is the guy we just took out of the main event, Bigelow, who had a really strong 94. I think was in a really good place, and he was pretty over as a heel. So you could have him win the Rumble instead of the tag title stuff, or a heel Lex Luger is the other option.
Yeah, I like the Bigelow take. I like it a lot, but I'm always gonna be partial to Lex Luger because I think Luger to me is one of the biggest whiffs the company had, and I don't blame Luger for it.
No, it's funny because I was talking to Marcus and Tim last night. We were just bullshitting, and we were talking about because Toolman was saying how he wants to like revisit Luger's WCW, like the first run, 87 to 92. And
it's really good. Like it's really good.
Well, I was talking about it because I'm like, and then he's great when he comes back until about we kind of pegged it at like when he loses that belt at Road Wild is kind of when I think he starts to go in ring. He's still a great character though. Like listening to the Backbone Network on the Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo, Shiflett and Logan are in like late 99 and they gush over the total package stuff. Like as a character.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's such a goofball with him and
Liz.
When him and Bagwell are like posing together and like it's funny. Like he's legit funny.
Yeah. So when you really look at it, his worst stretch of his career is 94, 95. Because I think his 93 is fine. I would say from SummerSlam 93 until he leaves is like the worst 2-year stretch he has until probably like 2000 or whatever.
Yeah. And by then everybody in that company's bad. So yeah. And I mean, by then he's old. Like we forget how old he is.
Yeah.
I would say that like, I think a lot of people, and I was like this too. I had a really skewed view of Luger because I only knew his WWF work.
Yep.
Oh, he's a choker. He's this, he's that. He's not motivated. But you go back and watch like that US title run, like from 88, 89, like he's really good. Like he's just stellar. And even the matches with Flair that people are pissed because he doesn't win and whatnot, but the matches themselves are quite good. Like
I had both 88 ones at 4 stars. Because I was going through my matches. I've been going through those and I'm up into early 90. And I was telling Tim, like, oh, watch this one. Oh, actually, watch this one. I was looking at my grades. I'm like, oh, this is 3.5. That's 3.5. That's 3.5. No, he's really good. And I think what hurts him in 92 in WCW and then when he comes to WWF is like I think he just bulks up a little too much. He was always big, but he was lean. Like he was cut in that early run, and then you see him with the WBF. But even it started at like Super Brawl when he takes that layoff and comes back. He's like massive at that show, and that's probably one of his lesser matches. And even that's pretty good.
He's more, his body when he's at his peak is more Rick Rude than Ultimate Warrior.
Right.
Like he's in the middle of both of them, kind of, but it's more of a cut.
But when you see him in 92, early 93, he's really bulked up. And I think it hurt his mobility. And that's why some of his early WWF matches. Plus, he had he had rust. I mean, it was like, when you really look at it, he didn't wrestle for, a year.
No, he loses at Super Brawl, and then he's gone.
Yeah, he doesn't wrestle till February 93 on Raw. Is his debut in ring.
Right.
So it's a full year. So he's got a year of rust. Plus, he bulked up. So it takes him a bit, I think, to get into ring shape. I think by the time you get to SummerSlam against Yoko, he's fine. But then the booking goes off a fucking cliff from there.
But that match is actually good. I like that match. It's good. And you know where else he's really good? He's really good in the 94 Rumble. Like Luger.
Yep.
Very when we were watching them for now entering the Royal Rumble, like that was kind of a revelation for me. And he's good in 95 too.
Yeah, he's actually one of the highlights in 95, I think.
Yeah. So I like Bigelow, but I think heel Luger might be the way to go.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm going to add a slant to it because we're going to go a different way, maybe with a tag, but we'll see. But I would put Cornette with Luger. I would put a shocking turn at the Rumble or wherever it is. Like Luger is down to the last two with Brett or something, and out comes Cornette, and you don't know why he's out there, and he helps Luger win, and then they celebrate. And then because heel Luger is always better with a mouthpiece, and Bobby's gone. And I just like DiBiase. You could do that,
no,
but
I don't want DiBiase. But they could even do something where they tease another tie.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah. It's a rematch from the year before, right?
Yeah. And Cornette does something to keep Luger in the ring.
He slides the racket under his foot when he comes down.
Yeah, that's the spot instead of Sean.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I don't know. I just saw it. It kind of plays off the tease from 94 DiBiase because they're like, all right, we're not buying this shit again. No way Luger sold out. We know he's not going to sell out. He just fought off everybody, and then he sells out and goes with Cornette because he's like, this is a real wrestling manager. They can even call back a little bit. I know they weren't big into doing that, but they could kind of hint at their days together in NWA, like, we're from where real wrestling is, and I've been painted as a buffoon here.
And they don't go. They don't go back to the narcissist. They don't go back to USA. He starts wearing like the metallic blue or the yellow and I'm just Lex Luger again.
Yeah, it's a total package. And now, if you get to that, I have him beat Diesel at Mania. And
of course.
To leave with the belt, but because you're main eventing LT,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, So I like this top of the card. Like I like Luger.
Yeah.
Luger with Cornette winning the title from Diesel.
Yeah.
And then
LT and Sean tearing the
LT and Sean in the main event, and then Alundra Blanacado.
That might be earlier in the night, but yes.
Yeah, still good. All right. So do you want to tackle the Brett scenario now?
Well, I mean, to me, it's obvious. Is it obvious to you what he should be doing?
I've talked about this on a lot of shows, and this is where we're going to solidify my thoughts on it. Yes. Part of what I think where you're headed is part of my thought.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking he's got to have a war with Owen to finally finish.
Right. The Action Zone match, essentially.
Essentially.
So that is one of my parts of it. Mm-hmm. But again, so this is my final time talking about it. I'm going to crystallize it here. Owen goes into this show saying, I am going to do what my brother could not do a year ago. Yeah. I'm going to beat my brother, and then I am going to win gold at this show. So he puts himself into that same tag match scenario against whoever wanted to be the Guns, if we want to still go with them as being the tag champs. But earlier in the night, he's like, I'm going to beat Brett, and then I will go on to win the belt. Whereas Brett lost to me before winning gold. I'm going to go 2-0 at WrestleMania. Brett can never be 2-0.
Yeah.
So however you want to do it, either he wins the tag belts first. Maybe that probably adds a little bit more excitement. So maybe you start that earlier in the night. You can do Yoko, or you could go with the rumored Benoit. Like, I don't know if that counts. He was technically working for them a bit in the spring, doing like dark matches and tryouts. And that was the rumor, was that he was going to be the guy before they went with Yoko.
Right.
So Owen wins the tag belts, and now he's like, all that stands before me in history is beating my brother. And then Brett beats him in a no holds barred at the end, toward the end of the night.
Yeah, I like that. I'm good with that. I think actually, you know what? I think we probably keep Yoko.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I like Benoit. I think it's I liked Benoit, but I think Yoko just adds that unfairness to it that Benoit
Right.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and the finish is great. I mean, I love like Owen puts him in the friggin' goes to the sharpshooter and lets his legs go and just pins him because Yoko
yeah,
beat the shit out of him. I mean, Owen and
it's great.
Benoit could have been an awesome team.
Sure.
But Owen and Yoko. So now, do you have Cornette still with Yoko and Owen, or because he's with Luger, is he kind of away from them now? Because he wasn't with Owen before. Like, this is where he starts Camp Cornette with Owen, and eventually Bulldog is here because he's only stays with Owen because he's with Yoko.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you let them go without a mouthpiece? I mean, Owen can talk. He doesn't really need it.
Yeah, I think it's fine without. And you know what? It's kind of a new start for Yoko too, because he's like on his own. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Because I think Cornette's like above it now.
Yeah, he's a prestige manager.
Yeah, I want to
He's
totally
like,
focus on Luger. And he
like
never had a world champion in WWF. He should have had a world champion. So it's like,
yeah. Well, he did. He had Yoko.
Oh, yeah.
In theory. Yeah, but
he was just an advisor though.
That's right. He wasn't
the manager.
Mr. Fuji was the manager. He handled the bookings.
So
okay, I like that.
But let's throw this out. So do we want to go with the guns or do we want to mix this up a little bit and amp this match up? Because I mean, Razor's our IC champ, but we could have him lose the IC belt and go in a big direction with him that was rumored at the time as originally planned as well.
Yeah.
Which we could talk about. And you could do something like Razor and Kid here against Owen and Yoko.
Not against it, but I have an idea for Kid.
Okay. Or you could do Razor and
Savio Vega. Yeah.
He could debut a month early. Razor and Holly. I don't know. I guess Razor and Kid really is the only one that works in that scenario. Oh no, wait, no, we're not using Razor here. Sorry. I want to use Razor elsewhere.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so never mind. I was confusing myself. So I don't know. I mean, Kid and Holly is the other hot face team.
Okay, tell me what you think about this idea for the Kid.
We don't have allied powers anymore.
No, we don't, and that's fine. But it could be like Bulldog and Razor, like if you wanted to do that. But
Razor's out. I got Razor. I got big plans for Razor.
Is Dynamite Kid still under contract? We do the Bulldog.
Well, I think he is, but he's in a wheelchair.
That's true. He can sit on the corner. Okay, here's what I want to do with Kid. And what if, and this might be a good opener. What if Jarrett wins the IC at the Rumble like he always did?
Yep.
And something happens with Razor. Maybe he's off to do something else. Maybe he's like originally scheduled to fight Jarrett, but he gets embroidered with something else or something. And Kid takes his place, and we get like bully Jarrett against the Kid.
Yeah, and they have a fun match at King of the Ring the year before.
That's it. And I think, if you really want it, you could even have the Kid win.
Right,
like
for a big moment.
Like
now we're already doing 2 title changes. That's the only thing. Do we want to do? Well, actually, we're doing 3 if Alundra wins. I know we don't care. I'm just saying
it's WrestleMania. It doesn't matter. I don't think. But I kept coming back to the Kid and how he was not on the card, despite being a pretty major part of the promotion.
And he's wearing his pajamas when he comes to help Razor.
Yeah, but I don't see I actually don't really. If we take Razor out of the IC, I don't really see another IC match either.
No, there's really no. Bulldog would be the only other guy.
Yeah, but I don't really care. Yeah, I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, name value wise, he's probably the biggest.
The other thing you could do,
Aldo Montoya.
You could, but this just goes to if you wanted to replace Yokozuna with the British Bulldog and start that team early.
So you turn him heel as a surprise.
Yeah, that might be interesting too. I do like Yoko though. I find it such an Owen move to pick the most unfair partner.
Yeah, I like that, and I like the finish, and then it makes Owen like his bragging is all for shit because Yoko basically wins him the tag titles.
Yeah,
and he loses to Brett. so it's like he's 1-1, he wins the goal, but but he'll brag on it. And I think Yoko and Owen's a good team. I think that's fine. Bulldog we may struggle with, but we may be able to find something for him.
I think so.
So,
I mean, what do you think? What do you think of that idea for Kid?
Yeah, I'm in. I don't see anyone else better.
Correct.
I think it's a fun match, and this card is getting sneaky. Like one of the things you always hear about WrestleMania 11 is kind of, well, the roster's thin, they don't have a lot to work with, but we've without even changing much. The most
Yeah.
radical thing we've done is Luger going heel, which isn't crazy. We've built a much more stacked card, like out of the gate.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have an idea for Bulldog. We could put him against Backlund.
Sure, just to beat him up.
Yeah, like kind of maybe Backlund, then he retires after that, or something like Bulldog. Power slams them, and because Bulldog kind of needs a big marquee win coming off the Rumble.
Yeah.
So that could be a fun little, like, 5 to 8 minute fight. I'm struggling to come up with something better than the Guns. I guess I don't know.
I think it has to be the Guns. And honestly, truth be told, like when you look at the '90s, they are one of the teams that, like it or not, they're one of the bigger teams of the '90s, especially after 1993.
Yeah, and this kind of kicks off their big run, like becoming the
Yeah.
team of the next 2 years. Like starts really with that tournament win. Because here's the other teams in that tag tournament: Bigelow and Tatanka, Men on a Mission. Which, I mean, you could do them like to set up if you want to get Mabel a little bit hot before, if that happens after this. But
Yeah.
but
They're not better than the Guns, I don't think. I don't think they're
No.
a better choice than the Guns.
Head Shrinkers, which is Fatu and Barbarian at that point.
They were kind of played out.
Yeah. Owen and Neidhart. It's not gonna be them. Heavenly
No.
Bodies and Bushwhackers. And then Kid and Holly and Well Done. So I mean, like, and even looking at the Rumble match, I mean, the only other team is the Blues.
Yeah. It would be funny to see Yokozuna destroy the Bushwhackers.
Well, and another guy that turned face that had some potential that's floating around is Adam Bomb. Like,
Yeah.
so could you do some kind of, like, if you don't want to do Bulldog Backlund, could you do some kind of weird, like, Bulldog Adam Bomb powerhouse team wins the tag belts and then fights Yoko and Owen or something? But I don't want to go too crazy. But...
No, you know why I don't like that idea? Like, it's not that it's a bad idea, but like then it's like it justifies Owen bringing in Yoko.
Yeah.
Like it's the Smoking Guns. You don't need him.
Yeah. So let's leave the Guns.
Yeah.
All right. So we're adding Brett Owen, no holds barred. Owen and
Yeah.
Yoko versus the Guns for the tag belts. Jarrett and Kid for the IC, and Bulldog
Yeah.
Backlund for right now.
Okay.
All right.
Now we've got a couple.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, we got a couple of people we haven't talked about that are important.
Yeah. So let's go there next. So this my idea, and this was like it's in the Titan sinking book. This is where they were headed. I don't remember exactly why they pivot off it, but it's Razor Ramon as a heel against the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. I loved it when I read it. I think Razor is a face. He's still over 95, but he's definitely kind of sputtering. And this could reheat him really well off the Jarrett stuff. And then when you look at where he goes, like he has a shit DQ. Then Jarrett, he fights him in the handicap match. And then like it's such a sloppy next few months. I think him as a heel. And they had talked about like that. I think he was going to Razor's Edge Taker in a grave or something. Like that was going to be the build to it. He's going to attack him at the gravesite or whatever. So maybe Razor, he loses the belt to Jarrett. Maybe he gets like a rematch on Raw and he gets screwed again. And he starts to complain, like, what the fuck? Like, where are my buddies? Like, why aren't you backing me up? And maybe he just says, like, I've had it. Maybe he attacks Kid 1 week, attacks Bulldog 1 week. Maybe he starts attacking the guys that weren't there to help him against Jarrett. And then finally just jumps the Undertaker. And Taker's the one that finally is like, So sadly, we lose the Chain and the Corporation Taker feud.
Oh, no.
I know.
Whatever will we do?
But I'm fine with it. I mean, this is really marginalizing. This is taking DiBiase out of this. So, like, again, I guess we could have him in the main event with Sean, like the Corporation. And he's going to bring Sid in anyway. I don't want to see DiBiase with Razor. I want Razor on his own as a heel.
No, I don't want it to be. Yeah, I think if we use a couple other people, we could probably get DiBiase on the card. Proper.
Well, yeah. So the names I think we still have here, like we've left Bigelow out, which we need. I mean, I think it's shitty to take him from LT
the main event to off the card. But I'm not sure what to do with him because he'd be the other option against Taker
or Bulldog.
Or if you wanted a Haas fight, you could put him against Bundy, like
as a face.
Or who's the real like tough guy of the Corporation or whatever, one of those kind of things.
You could do Adam Bomb too. Like if you're trying to get him going, you could do Adam Bomb Bigelow.
Another guy that was under contract now that, or at least what I read, is Hakushi.
Right.
Now, I don't think we need him necessarily, but Hakushi, and we still have Jerry Lawler also, if we ever
Right.
want to use him. Like,
Yeah,
you know what
I
we
think we
could
just
do?
need another face. That's the problem. Like, I don't think he fits.
Unless, what if Lawler is the one that continually mocks Bigelow after he loses the tag team title tournament or whatever it is?
And you a big old Lawler.
Yeah, Bigelow is the face.
Do you need Lawler in the booth? I know we don't really have to care about it, but
If it's not him, who is it?
Gorilla maybe, like they did at Survivor Series, or
Perfect.
he's not back yet.
But where is
DiBiase is
he?
probably the only other option. Perfect doesn't come back till November. I don't know where he is. I think it's too far off to squeeze him in.
Okay.
Because this is that Raw period. Remember they're doing the guest announcers and everything every week. And Sean was doing a bunch of them. Polo's gone.
Yeah.
He's Raven by now. So I would say,
Yeah, you probably need Lawler on commentary then.
unless you do Vince Gorilla. They did a Survivor Series, and it was pretty good, but
Yeah. You know, if you're gonna mess around with it, Mania kind of is the place. Like, you're adding prestige to the event.
right. Yeah.
Lord Alfred Hayes still there?
Oh, he's there until 96.
Lawrence Taylor is in the ring.
I mean, you could just have Waller announce, just take that match off, and he comes back or whatever for the end. The only other thing I think of is like for Bigelow is you could like you had a couple of these guys in the Rumble, like you bring like Dick Murdoch back and just have them fight like kind of an old school, brawl match with him. DiBiase can't wrestle, so you can't even do something where like he turns on DiBiase. Like,
yeah,
we're trying to make this card as good as possible, but if we want to keep it realistic, he's a big part of the plans. The corporation's a big deal. So you could do something like Bigelow versus Kama or IRS, or like you said, maybe it says Bundy. That's probably the way to go, because then you still get the corporation versus Bigelow on there. It just starts a little bit sooner. It doesn't have to be long.
Yeah, like,
or you do him and Bulldog, and that's how they turn on him after, and we just don't have Backlund on the show. But Bulldog Backlund feels like a fun match.
Yeah, especially it has the history of technically it starts at Survivor Series 94.
Oh, right? Yeah. That's a natural thing, right? Like Bulldog wants revenge for the towel. Getting thrown in.
I didn't get it.
I'm gonna take you out and then stew.
I think the way to go is Bigelow was someone who's already in the $1 Million Corporation.
Yeah, I think so. Because if you look at, I'm looking at the Rumble. Like, so here's who's in the Rumble on the show and in the match, the Rumble match that we haven't used, because there's no other real show to use to go off of. So, Buck Quartermain in the dark match. No, so we got IRS, Holly. I got the answer. It's not exciting in any way, but you just do Bigelow to Tonka. They lose the fucking match at the Rumble.
Oh yeah.
And they go to, and it's a rematch. They feuded the year before. Bigelow versus his partner.
And here you make it a $1 Million Corporation lumberjack match.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have those guys around the ring. Is the main event a lumberjack match? Not really.
No, they're just out there.
They're just
and
there.
That could be, DiBiase could say, "I'm going to get my boys ready for the main event" by having them out there against Bigelow. I think that's good. That's probably the best use, and actually has a story.
You know what you could do too is you could have at the end of the match Bigelow destroy a bunch of them.
Yeah,
that Sean has no one left, and he has to go with just it.
Because then you can throw out, if you want to give some guys like a little, like that's where you use your Atom Bomb. Well done. The Blues, like these guys, can all be around ringside. You can blow off. They blow off Luger to Tonka on the March to Mania the week before this.
Right.
You just do that before the Rumble instead. Have it like at the last Raw of '94 or whatever. Or you even do it at the Rumble. Luger beats him on the undercard to even fake it out even more, and then turns heel in the Rumble match. Yeah. You could do something like that.
It's a good show. We've made a good show.
This is really good. So I mean, this is what we have. Like, we'll see if we want to tweak it anymore. But it's like, all right. So our main event's Lawrence Taylor versus Shawn Michaels with the All Pro team and Sid and maybe DiBiase. No one else, because they all get destroyed in the opener. But so that's our main event. Second from top, Diesel loses his world title to Lex Luger with Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
Bull Nakano loses her women's title to Alundra Blaze. Bret Hart defeats Owen Hart in a no-holds-barred match after Owen Hart and mystery partner Yokozuna beat the Guns for the tag team titles.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett loses his IC title to the 1-2-3 Kid. British Bulldog defeats Bob Backlund. Undertaker defeats a heel Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
And Bigelow beats Tatanka in a lumberjack match. Now, the only thing is we have one heel winning. So, like, I don't know if we care. That's how many matches? That's 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, Owen and Yoko win too. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they had 7 on the card. We bumped it to 9
matches.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone else that, like, if you really want to go like a classic Mania trope, I think your boy Hunter debuts like right after Mania. You could do him versus like Aldo, or I mean something like, or Holly, like they do a SummerSlam. If you want to give him like a win, like second from the top to open the show.
I don't want to give him anything.
I know you don't, but I'm just saying if you wanted to get like a little heel win in there on the card somewhere.
Well, look, the heel is walking out with the title, right?
No,
so like,
that's and both like 2 titles. Because Owen and Yoko.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the Rumble. There's like Quang, Doink. I mean, there's really not a lot in there that like we haven't used that's worth,
and that we want to use.
And I think we used everyone from the original Mania card except for the Blue Brothers,
which is fine. We don't need those Nazis.
No, we got both Allied Powers. We got Razor. We got Jarrett. We got Kid. Rhodey is ostensibly with Jarrett, I'm sure. We got Taker. Oh, we're losing Bundy, but who cares? Owen Yoko. Guns, Brett, Backlund, Diesel, Shawn, LT Bigelow.
Now, what's the order?
And then we have to talk celebrities.
I know.
Right.
I don't, as much as I don't like Owen and Yoko opening the show that way. I think that probably has to be like second.
See, I was going to say start with the big surprise. Like we open Mania, Lawler's hyping it, the Guns come out, and then Owen comes out and we start with a bang. Like, because I was only thinking, because then you want to give some space between that and Brett and Owen. And Brett Owen is probably going to be third from the top because of what else we got going on. The only other option would be Bigelow Tatanka, I think, if you want to start with all the lumberjacks coming down to the ring and Bigelow cleaning house. You could do that, I guess.
Or you could do Kid and Double J. I think those are our options.
Right.
The Kid Double J match, I see it very much as Kid like getting the shit kicked out of him the entire match.
Yeah.
Like, but he keeps kicking out, and every time he kicks out, like everybody gets more.
Let's start with that, because I think getting the crowd hyped with a big face title win is like a good hot start.
Okay.
So
we do that first.
J IC title.
Then the tag.
I don't think we should do back-to-back titles. I think then we go Bigelow Tatanka.
Okay, then the tag.
Yeah. So Bigelow Tatanka and the lumberjack. Then Owen and Yoko versus the Guns.
Yeah. Then the women.
No, Bulldog Backlund. Let's burn that off.
Okay.
Then the women.
Then the women.
Yeah.
Then Taker, Razor, Brett, Owen, Luger, Diesel, LT, Shawn.
Yeah, that's a great top 4.
Yeah.
That's like, that may be one of the best top 4 in Mania history.
Best WrestleManias of all time.
Well, I mean, really, like, we rebooked that in 40 minutes. We're not even at Vince's pool. We rebooked this in 40 minutes. Using the exact fucking roster and guys on the roster. And even if you want to say Luger turning heels radical, you could do him and Diesel face for the belt too and do heel turn after. Like, that's also an option. Like, you don't have to have him heel coming into the night. So if you don't want to have a heel champion lose, just go face and Luger finally gets his win, but maybe the Cornette comes out and there's some trickery in there or whatever, and then you have him turn after. So even if you want to not be like super different, you can keep this card identical, everything the same character-wise with a little bit of shuffling. We just made like a top-end Mania.
Yep, and we didn't even really have to. The only thing we changed going up to it was when Diesel won the belt.
And that you don't even have to either. He could still win it the night after. That didn't change anything.
He could.
I just did that to make it Backlund have a little month as champion.
Well,
The
and
only big
Brett-
change is
Brett
Luger
doesn't
wins the
fight Diesel.
Rumble. Yeah, Luger wins the Rumble instead of Michaels,
Yeah.
and Michaels gets into it with LT.
Yeah.
So you'd have to
After
figure that
losing
out.
the Rumble. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
after coming in at number 1 and telling everybody he was going to win. And you got to imagine, like, I don't remember what I have Bigelow LT at. I want to say probably like 3.5, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
I'm
not trying to
pretty
show.
sure you're looking at it.
That's it. I'm not trying to throw shade at Bigelow, but like, you got to imagine that goes up a little bit with Michaels.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really good for what it is, as it is. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, you're putting peak Sean. You know, he's starting to hit God mode in '95.
Yeah.
Let me see what I had that Mania match at.
You could even
I
still
had
keep hype-
3.25. I had a Diesel Sean at 3.5.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at too. And I think Luger Diesel might actually be interesting. I don't know how good it would be, like, but like I said, Luger's kind of underrated, so it might actually be all right.
Yeah. You don't need to do much because you get 9 matches. You're going to be coming off Brett Owen, which is going to be like a war. Like, you don't need them to go more than 12 minutes
No.
and Luger get the win. Yeah.
And
What
it
do
makes
you
95.
prefer? Do you prefer Luger as a heel coming into this or turn as part of it? Because you could
No,
keep
I think-
Luger face to win the Rumble, and instead of doing the Brett thing we talked about, just do Luger eliminate Sean, press slams him out. He's celebrating. Sean gets into it with LT because he makes the final 2. And that's how you trigger that. And then Luger turns after Mania. Like, again, you could have Cornette come out during the match here. And, like, why is he here? Is he on behalf of who? And he maybe fucks with Diesel. Luger wins, and then you reveal it afterward.
Maybe. I kind of like the idea of Luger going into the show with an attitude change.
Yeah. New look.
Yeah, but it could be subtle. It could be you keep him a face, and then at WrestleMania he shows up with a completely different look.
All right, as a total package again.
Yeah, and
like
he's
they
still
introduce
kind
him
of
as you're waiting for Stars and Stripes or whatever the song he had. And instead it's whatever 80s synth. And Fink introduces him as the total package, and they're like, "Oh, Luger's going back." I kind of like that actually because it's like a big surprise. It's like Luger's going back to his old ways, and maybe he teases it in the weeks leading up, like I'm going back to my roots, this and that. I'll throw one other guy. I'll throw another twist if we don't want to use Cornette. I don't know how willing he was to be on TV, but you could do JJ Dillon. He's in the company, and that could be the real throwback. You could say, I went back to my roots. I'm bringing back my original manager from the late 80s.
Is Barry Windham in the company?
No.
Not too bad.
Yeah, no. He comes in not till the end of 96.
Yeah.
But
I like Dillon. That's really interesting.
He's there until the end of 96.
I'm worried it might be too inside baseball for the audience. But for me, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you'd have to introduce him somehow before that. Like, he can't just show up. I mean, because you saw what happened with Ellering when they tried that with LOD. Everyone was like, who the fuck is this guy?
I have returned!
What even was his name? It was Ellery. Because of Gene. So, I mean, JJ is kind of like the really cool one. Like, especially if you do it all that night for the first time. He just comes out as a total package with JJ Dillon. And you can even present it like he's not a heel. He's just like, I brought back, maybe this is what you do. He goes to JJ in the lead up. Yeah. And then he's like, JJ, will you help me reclaim my past glory or whatever? Train me. He comes out with him as a total. He's like, we're going to go back to your roots. So he debuts at Mania as a total package with JJ Dillon. Cornette comes out, gets into it with Dillon. They brawl. Diesel gets distracted. Luger wins. And then the reveal is that Luger's really with Cornette. And it was a setup to punk Dillon. So Dillon really gives you a month. He's not back full time. And then you go with Cornette from there.
Shit out of Dillon.
Yeah. Yeah. On Raw. Maybe like on Raw the next night, they kick the crap out of Dillon or whatever. Or here, because they're not ending the show with it. But
I'll be honest, I like the idea of him leaving like Diesel and Dillon bloodied in the ring.
Yeah.
Him standing over with the belt and like.
Fuck it. That's our booking right there. So we kept this card almost chalk, but you're gonna give us one like crazy booking, and that's it right there.
Yeah.
I think that's
I love it. Love it. And you know what? Let's get into the celebrities.
Yeah. Well, are we keeping any of them?
Well, we could
because
keep Piper. Piper could be the ref of Brett and Owen,
right.
but he doesn't
Yeah,
have
but
to
not it's
talk.
not fucking I quit.
No, he's kind of count a fall or
Yeah.
ring the bell.
Yeah, I
But
think
like
that's a good one
he's
because that gives
he's kind
Owen
of
that gives Owen a bitch too. Like,
yeah.
not like I would have beaten him if he didn't have that no good Roddy Piper as the referee or whatever.
Yeah, and you can kind of tie it in, like, how he's kind of like Piper's kind of almost a Hart, and like
Right.
Owen grew up maybe idolizing. There's a
Yeah.
lot of meat in there, I think.
Yep.
Not a surprise, but yeah.
Salt and Pepper still sing out LT, right?
Yeah, of course. Now, what about the women? Pam
Well,
Anderson.
I like the idea of Luger with the babes, but if we're going the way we're going, that's not his character coming in. He's focused. He's training with
Yeah.
Dylan, so he's not going to. But maybe one of them escorts Diesel, and they leave with Luger.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Or both of them leave with
Yeah, yeah. We're going Luger super push here.
Fuck, good. He deserves it.
This is going to kill his WCW run, which is great though, because he's not leaving if he's getting this push.
No, and but who knows what you do with him, because that WCW run in '96, I love that Luger run where he's kind of the smarmy heel when Sting isn't looking, but then as soon as Sting looks, he's high-fiving the kids.
Because they're not giving him this belt without an extension. Like,
no,
his contract's up in August. They're not fucking giving him the title. Unless he only holds it till SummerSlam, I guess. He could still lose and leave. He did it in WCW, right? He could say, I'll put Diesel over, and then I'm out the door.
I just think that no matter what, even if that happens, even if he leaves in '95, this just puts such a different spin on his WWF run.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it becomes like a Jarrett and these other guys that or even Diesel himself, oh, he got so good right before he left. He had a shaky run, he gets red hot and then he leaves, It's kind of like Diesel in '96. And I think this helps Diesel too. We didn't really talk about that much, but I think him losing the belt here and not having that bland reign of terror, and he can still go fight Sid non-title to defend Shawn. If Sid still turns on Shawn, and then you could do Luger, Razor, heel Razor coming off the Taker match, attacks Luger.
Luger's a heel too, though, right?
Oh shit, right. Well, you got Bigelow heated up. You could give him his little run.
You also have the best feud that they never really did.
Brett.
You do Brett Luger.
Yeah.
To me, that makes a lot of sense.
That could be a draw match. Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be drawn out over a bunch.
Well, you can feed Bulldog to him first, right? So maybe Bulldog steps up off the Backlund win. I beat the last champion. He fights Luger in your house 1. Then Brett. So you set Brett up to fight Luger at King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Or you build it to SummerSlam.
Yeah, you could even throw in Bigelow after beating Tatanka. Not that I want to kill Bigelow, but it's still an impressive win for Luger to beat Bigelow, right?
Yeah. So you could do that at King of the Ring if you really want to build Brett to SummerSlam.
And you have Brett win the King of the Ring again.
You could do that. Or you doesn't even need to, because it's not for the title shot. Mabel gets it, but you don't need to do it.
I just want Mabel out of there.
No, you just put it to someone else.
Yeah.
Heel King Razor would be great.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because he came up short twice already, and then he finally gets it done with his attitude.
Yeah, and then he goes after the Intercontinental Kid or something. Face Kid against Heel Razor again.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Heel King Razor against Face Kid for the IC belt.
Yeah.
Razor beats him at SummerSlam. So then at SummerSlam, all right, maybe we'll come back later in the year. We'll continue this universe for
It'll still be 95. But it's crazy that it opens up the whole year.
Yeah, we're not even changing that much.
Nope. No, we're just moving moving pieces around.
Yeah. We'll come back in June. We'll do King of the Ring. I think it'll be fun.
Okay.
We'll use the gap from Mania to King of the Ring to build that, and then we'll do SummerSlam Survivor Series. I think it'll be fun to kind of see how this year would go if we kept with it. Because we already laid out some of this for King of the Ring. It's I think it's interesting. Again, if Razor wins, Luger retains, and then you go, Brett Luger SummerSlam, Razor Kid SummerSlam.
Yeah.
You could do Taker Diesel, could be fun. Face Battle of the Titans or something.
Yeah. I love it.
All right. So Pam and Jenny, they're with Diesel and Luger. They're in that match.
Yeah. Yeah, they does Jenny just show up? Jenny just shows up, right?
Well, Diesel, she was supposed to be there. She was advertised. But Diesel, she's like the timekeeper, right? Or whatever. And then Pam is supposed to escort Diesel. But because Pam is missing, Shawn, because Pam is missing, Jenny
Yes,
shifts
yes.
over to come out with Sean, and then Pam's with
right.
Diesel. So you can still do that gimmick. It's just Jenny's
Yeah.
the timekeeper. Pam comes out with Diesel. After the match, Luger's lays him out, and he goes like, come with me, and they walk
Yeah.
off. The three of them with Cornette.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that them kicking the shit out of Dylan, and it
Dylan.
works well. That gives
Yeah.
you. He can explain who Dylan is in the weeks building up, because you can say this guy, he's a legendary manager. He helped bring me into the business, and all this
The
stuff.
best years of my career with this guy. Like
Yeah.
I owe him so much.
Yeah,
And
then
he
murders him.
bludgeons him. Yeah.
And then you still get to end with LT, like as a face. So you're not ending with a big heel. Beat
No,
down.
and Sean is not. I think what is going to end up happening is Sean. Eventually, here's the thing: if we, not that we should go too far, but you could also do Sean Luger at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I
As
think
face
you keep Sean out of that world title picture until Mania. At that point,
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where, though, if you do Kid Razor, well, how about this? Razor beats Kid in your house 2 after winning King of the Ring, and then you still do Razor Sean ladder match.
Yeah, because honestly, the Kid run is really for the win.
Yeah,
like that's the big thing, and the underdog nature of the match and stuff.
And
like
Razor
that.
could be IC champ going into King of the Ring. He could win it in your house 1 and be IC champ and win King of the Ring, and now he's set up and he goes to SummerSlam against Sean. Gorilla or Tunney or whoever says you have to beat. You want that title shot, you're going to beat Sean.
Yeah,
and then you could have Sean beat him in the ladder match again. You keep that because
Yeah.
that's such a good match. Probably shouldn't change that too much.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. And then that show becomes infinitely better too, because you don't have Diesel Mabel, you have Bret Hart against Lex Luger in the main event.
Yeah.
When both of them can go, because by the time Luger gets to WCW, they do have matches.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he's washed by that point.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, we just made 95 way more watchable. Without, and I would say the only person that really we kind of hurt was Bigelow. You kill his main event, but I don't know, right? There's a piece of it where he made money and main evented, but it did kind of put a stigma on his career for a bit, like having lost to LT and all that. So maybe you save him that a bit. Maybe he might not run a follow the click either. Like if he kind of doesn't get to that level, if he just kind of hangs around in the mid card, like maybe he doesn't get turfed,
It's a shame that like there's no other secondary title here, because like that would be a good reward for him. Like if you're not doing Razor Sean at SummerSlam, you could be giving the title to Bigelow, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't want to get rid of that ladder match.
No, I think we keep it. But we'll talk when we get to August. We'll hit that. Because we may change our mind by then. And then so we get the All Pro team, and then I think the other hangers on just whatever. Like Jonathan Taylor Thomas can still play chess with fucking Backlund, like whatever.
You could blame him for distracting him.
Yeah. Yep.
I lost because Jonathan Taylor Thomas made an illegal move.
Nick Turturro, whoever cares. Like
he's just an announcer, right? So like,
yeah, like so. I think the difference is though we're not leaning on these celebrities like they really do, like because they went heavy on that was the whole hook of the show was all these fucking celebrities. So we can still pepper them in, but we're not selling the show on them anymore because we've built up a much better card.
Yeah, can we bring Bob Uecker back too?
Sure.
I mean, I know he's not on the roster, but
why not? I mean, it's a baseball strike, so it's like timely. Because that's why who's the ref that fills in there, Larry Young or whatever.
That's right. Oh,
actually, it just ended. I think the strike had just ended.
Okay, but they weren't back playing yet.
No.
Yeah, and it's Larry Young who refs the Undertaker. I would like him to not be there.
No, yeah, he sucks. We don't need him. No Larry Young. And again, like you lose Kama attacking him, but who gives a shit? Like we're basically ostensibly saying the Corporation Taker storyline ended at the Rumble. He beats IRS, gets the urn back, and we're done with that chapter.
Yeah, and essentially the person fighting the corporation here is Bigelow.
Yeah, which I think is a natural feud.
Yeah, and you do give him a great moment taking everybody out.
Yeah, and he sets up success, or in theory, you would think for LT.
Yeah.
You can even set up to a Bigelow sit at SummerSlam.
That'd be good.
Kingpin of the corporation.
Yep.
That's a big
Bigelow beat him.
Yeah. So you can do that. And you can even do something crazy like if you want to give Bigelow his match, because there were rumors that they were going to give LT a second match and team with Bigelow. So you could even do something like that at SummerSlam. Like if you bring LT, pay him to come back, and you do LT and Bigelow team up against Sid and whoever, at that point.
Yeah. Sid and comma, I guess.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
Unless somebody else is in the corporation, but not Tatanka. He's gone.
No, he's cooked by that point. I mean, he's not going to be in the main event of King of the Ring. I can tell you.
No, he will not.
No, he's washed by that point.
The main event of King of the Ring is going to be a King of the Ring final match that year.
With a heel Razor. We got to figure out who he's going to beat, but that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Diesel.
Yeah.
We could do Razor Diesel, I guess.
Yeah, they do have good chemistry.
Yeah, because we got to find out what to do with Diesel. Like, that'll be the fun part of King of the Ring and SummerSlam. Like, do we ever give him the belt back, or is he done as champion at Mania and that's it?
I mean, probably because
Luger's going to transition to somebody. Like, so is Brett beating him at SummerSlam? And just do it there instead of Brett Diesel at Survivor Series?
Probably, but you can still do Brett Diesel at Survivor Series.
Yeah. And still do the Diesel heel turn. So he spent the whole year climbing back up. He loses a King of the Ring final.
And he snaps. And
then he snaps. Yeah. You can still do the same thing.
And with that too, Brett probably, not that I really care, but he probably feels a little better about it because one of Brett's major gripes is he's just a transitional champion for Sean.
Right.
But,
so now he goes from SummerSlam with a Survivor Series win over Diesel, a Rumble win, maybe still fights Taker or whatever at that show. And then
sure. I'd rather not, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Shit.
I think we did it. So here's the order.
Ass.
Here's the order. 1, 2, 3 Kid beats Jeff Jarrett for the IC belt.
Yep.
Bam Bam Bigelow defeats Tatanka and then destroys the Corporation Lumberjacks after the match with the face Lumberjacks. We can have other guys with him, like we said, like Adam Bomb, the Bushwhackers, whoever you want to throw out there with him. They
went off a cliff really hard.
Doink. I don't know.
Adam Bomb, Bushwhackers.
They kick the shit out of the Corporation guys and take them out of the main event. So then that leaves Sean with only Sid. And I think DiBiase out there, you give him that moment anyway. So you have DiBiase and Sid at ringside with Sean. DiBiase could even walk off, be like, this isn't worth the fucking money, and then Sid screws up. Whatever it is. Like the football guys maybe intimidate DiBiase and back him down, and then Sid screws up, cost Sean. All right, so Bigelow beats Tatanka. Owen Hart and Yokozuna defeat the Smoking Guns for the tag titles. That is the only match on this card that is the same, that stays booked the same, and ends like everything is the same. That does not change in any way. British Bulldog defeats Bob Backlund to send him spiraling and likely into semi-retirement from there.
Yeah.
Alundra Blaze defeats Bull Nakano for the women's title. If you don't want to do too many title changes or faces, you could flip that too and just have Bull retain and Alundra wins it.
Yes.
Later.
And it gives you another heel victory too.
Yeah. So if you want to do that.
I would say, before I forget, I would say this. Any comments, you can suggest, you can write whatever you want in the comments, but those are the things that might be really interesting is okay, which way would you go with Alundra and Bull? Would you have Bull retain? Would you have her, same thing with Luger, any of those, throw that up in the comments if you think differently.
And would you have a heel Razor Ramon and the streak before it becomes a streak? Because I think there's an argument to be made at this point that if you really want to make Razor strong as a heel, beating Taker or Mania is a big one. And he's only 3-0. They're not talking about it yet, right? Because he won it 7, 8, 9. He's only 3-0. It's not a thing. So,
no, and we're not at the point where I don't think Taker at 95 has hit that reverence with Vince.
Right.
I really think that everybody leaving in 96, 97, Undertaker staying is kind of what solidified it, right?
Yeah.
But there's definitely an argument.
We could change the entire course of history here by having Razor beat Taker as a heel. So we'll have Taker win so we don't screw up the whole streak going forward. But I do think when you look at the options, everyone always says, oh, he could have done it here. He could have done it here. I think a Razor heel at 95 is a prime because you could, if you have Diesel still leave Mania as champion, if you go that way without Luger winning or Sean, whoever it is, a heel Razor chasing Diesel is a good one.
Yeah.
Coming off beating Taker. All right. So Taker versus Ramon. Bret Hart defeats Owen Hart in a no holds barred match. Roddy Piper is the guest referee. Diesel loses the world title to Lex Luger with JJ Dillon and then Jim Cornette and leaves with Pam Anderson and Jenny McCarthy.
and
then
destroys JJ Dillon.
leaves JJ
And
Dillon in the heat crying.
yeah,
And then Lawrence Taylor with the All-Pro team and Salt and Pepper defeats Shawn Michaels.
I want JJ Dillon to be wearing a white suit.
Yes.
So
Covered
the
in
blood.
after.
Yeah.
It would be cool too if like Shawn, like, because we're not going to have the Jenny McCarthy, Pam Anderson thing with him now. It'd be funny if like he convinces Salt and Pepper to sing his theme as he comes out, and then they cut off and like no way, and then they go into What a Man for Lawrence Taylor. Or whatever.
They should have they should have to be reading it. I think I'm cute.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's just a skit earlier in the night where he's trying to get them to like sing a song or whatever, it'd be funny.
Yeah.
All right, and then Vince and Laura and commentary. We'll stay in Hartford because that would have been a set in advance of where we picked it up. So Hartford's getting one of the greatest WrestleManias ever here.
They're about to lose their hockey team, so it's give them something.
Yeah, look, man. I coming into this, I knew we were going to spruce up a few things, but I did not think
We'd make the greatest WrestleMania of all time card.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd come out with like one this good and without like radical stuff. Like we really
because it's not obvious that the pieces are there.
Yeah.
Like when you think of 95, at least for me, you think of a really bare roster, right? When you look at that Royal Rumble, yeah, it's terrible, right? Yeah. But the pieces they do have are good. Like so it's like if you just use those pieces right.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun rebook because I've always talked about King of the Ring 95. Like all the guys that aren't even on the fucking show that they could have turned that show around. So it's like they have a lot of different pieces. We'll have some collateral damage along the way. Like, Mabel's not getting anything with us, but
oh no.
But I do think
Diesel and Mabel, yeah.
Yeah, you can still do it at SummerSlam if you want. If you want to heat Diesel up as a heel, tax Mabel or something. And, I mean Mabel as a heel and attacks Diesel. Right. So this is a lot of fun. Like Aaron said, let us know in the comments what you think about it. We'll continue this as part of NoSo 95. We have a lot of WrestleMania content coming up too, leading up to WrestleMania 41 this year. So share your thoughts on that and everything else. Make sure you spread the love. Leave us a like. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of this super WrestleMania card that we just threw together in an hour that Vince couldn't do in months. By we're superior. So till then, the Dookie's been dropped. We'll talk to you soon. Yes. This was my sax. I guess more of a trumpet.